Welcome back. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, a time to raise awareness, support for survivors, and promote prevention. Joining me now, we have Kimberly Wald here, an attorney for sexual assault survivors with the Haggard law firm. Kimberly, welcome. Thank you so much for being here to talk about this really important subject. Why is it so important to be having these conversations?
So it's so important because there's so many survivors out there that need to know that they aren't alone. There's resources out there. You can file a civil suit, a criminal suit. You can get mental help and therapy. And if we don't have these conversations, then there's so many other tragedies that could happen in the future.
So I think for, maybe a lot of parents, it may be a conversation they feel that maybe they don't want to have with their children. Maybe it's not appropriate to have with their children. What do you want to let parents know who are maybe struggling with talking about this very important topic?
Absolutely. From our experience working with victims, we've felt that it's really important to, as simple as it is, but talk. First of all, you need to take it in stages. You don't want to sit down and have this really tough conversation, layer it over time. Then you also want to anchor. So anchor this to real life experiences. When this comes up in an everyday experience, talk about it then. Next, you want to listen, and listen more than you lecture. This really should be a two-way conversation. And then finally, you should keep it empowering. Talk about awareness. Talk about, what you can be doing in the moment. Don't make it about fear.
Is this speaking to survivors, but also people who who have not been in a situation like this before as well?
Absolutely. This is what you need to be just aware of in general, because unfortunately, when we look at the statistics, this really can happen to anyone of any different age demographic. So you want to be having these conversations, so if you're in that situation, you're equipped with the knowledge and the power to know what to do.
What about when speaking to teenagers specifically? What advice do you have there?
Absolutely. So for teenagers, you want to make sure that they always are staying connected. And so that's normalizing these check-ins, whether it be text messages, whether it's sharing your locations. Next, you want to make sure that they're acting on their instincts. Your gut in these situations, that is the absolute most important tool that you can use. Next, you want to make sure you're filtering your digital world. We know that what you put out on social media, there is no such thing as privacy. So what is your identity you're putting out? What are the photographs? Who are you talking to? Make sure you're filtering that. And finally, you need to have an exit plan, whether it's the physical layout, but also make sure that somebody knows where you are. Make sure that your cell phone is charged before you go somewhere so you can make that phone call. You can get that ride share when you need to.
Kimberly, is having these conversations maybe even removing some of the shame that's around sexual assault?
Absolutely, and that is the most important idea here, is that there shouldn't be a shame. This is not your fault. We know, unfortunately, the statistics, this does happen, but if we talk about it and we have the awareness, then if you're in that situation, you know how to follow your gut.
What can we do as just peers, as people of the community? What can we look out for? I was listening to a podcast recently, and it was a woman of sexual assault, a survivor, who talked about being a little girl, and other people around her were seeing kind of maybe things that should have raised a red flag, but it didn't. So what can we do?
Absolutely. I think the old adage, if you see something, say something. There are so many resources. There's the Department of Children and Families. There's your local police departments. There's going to the parents, going to other advocates in the community. And if you see those type of situations, you want to act on it before something can get to a dangerous situation.
And I think a lot of times in these situations, maybe the person thinks that they're doing something wrong, that it's their fault, right? So maybe they want to stay quiet, but that's definitely not the message that we want to send out. That person is not doing anything wrong at all.
They're not doing anything, and in fact, when they speak out, they're not just helping themselves, but so many other people. Unfortunately, if they're being abused, it's going to be that there's other people in that same situation.
All right, Kimberly, thanks so much for joining us this morning for this very important, critical conversation. Those resources that Kimberly mentioned and more information, including watching this interview again, are right now on our website, WPBF.com.